So today we're enjoying slightly less humid weather thanks to our cold front, but how rare is it for this to happen beyond June 1st? Houston Chronicle Meteorologist Justin Ballard is here to join the discussion. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Thank you for having me. I'm sad to say that unfortunately these cold fronts become a lot more rare as we get deeper into the summer months.
I know it always seems like it. Why is that?
Well, it's just because there's kind of a lack of cold air, quote, and I put that in quotes, cold air for these cold fronts to provide. So very often fronts this time of the year heading into the summer months bring maybe a drop in dew point or maybe a degree or two drop in temperatures. But really, we're not looking at any sort of drastic sort of drop in temperature or dew point, really, for that matter, as we get deeper into the summer months. This cold front that we had kind of come through our area yesterday may be the last one that really drops those dew points down for quite some time.
I know, womp womp, it stinks, but I love this, Justin. You are an author on the side apparently and have written your own haiku as well, or a poet you could say. Walk us through your haiku of how you describe these cold fronts.
Well, here it is. Humidity wanes, Houston bakes in dry, warm air, a fleeting delight. That summer haiku, that is kind of the point here. They are very fleeting. And let's take a look here at the muggy meter over the next 6 days or so. Those dew point temperatures, that measure of just how kind of disgusting it is outside, or delightful if they're really low. But you see that here, they're not going to be very low. Dew points in the low to mid 70s as we go all the way through likely the middle of next week. So sticky kind of dew point air. Now, today, on the other hand, dew points are anywhere from 15 to 20, even a couple spots close to 25 degrees lower than what they were just 24 hours ago. Galveston, Angleton, Palacios, I'm so sorry. Y'all aren't quite feeling the sort of refreshing air that we are feeling in Houston points northward, but, eventually we'll get back into, some less muggy air, but we just may have to wait a few months for that.
Yes, I know eventually we'll get to it, but I do have to say today actually does feel pretty fabulous outside. Now, one of the other big questions I have, do we see these cold fronts, moving in all throughout the summer? It seems like the times that it happens really starts to decrease.
Really does. I went through yesterday, I believe. I went through every single kind of time step. You and I, Rachel, were talking about this on Monday, how much time it was going to take to go through archive surface analysis from the NOAA website. I went through every single one. And a lot of cold fronts in June, especially July and August, they'll make it to about as far south as the Red River Valley, maybe Dallas, Fort Worth, but they get really rare once they get, beyond that. So frontal boundaries, again, typically stall near the Red River Valley. Summer cold fronts most often, kind of as I mentioned at the very start of this, bring minor drops in dew points or maybe air temperatures, but for the most part, they're not really that dramatic or noticeable. There was one really noticeable exception to this, and that was the July 2019 cold front. I don't remember off the top of my head how far that dropped dew point temperatures down, but I had some folks telling me, Travis Herzog was one of them, that when that cold front passed in July of 2019, people were literally outside going, wow, it feels like fall. I mean, temperatures were still in the low and mid 90s, I think, during that, but it was so much drier and it was an oven heat, not like a sauna heat.
Which makes all the difference. And now we also talk about these fronts during hurricane season. Do they have any sort of impacts on our tropical systems?
They do, in fact, and I think that's one of the reasons why, in early to mid-October, that's kind of our proxy here in Southeast Texas. Once we get to that time in the fall, or that point in the hurricane season, we really start to look at, the eastern Gulf of Mexico, where landfalls become a little bit more common, a little bit more likely. Milton is a prime example, making landfall in October. Once you get into the early to middle part of October, cold fronts become a little bit more of a common sort of occurrence here in Southeast Texas, and that helps to kind of keep hurricanes at bay, specifically the high pressure that builds in behind those cold fronts. Those high pressure systems are really sprawling and large and hard to kind of move, and hurricanes just can't quite penetrate that, kind of big block of air mass.
Okay, Justin, all good information. We will enjoy our one day of cold front here, and I hope you do as well.
It's fleeting. I certainly will.